Howdy, y'all. Yo, guardsman on ya. Well, yeah, a lot of shit done fell onto my plate in the last couple of days to a week. I've got a job in LA I gotta go run to and whatnot, so this video is gonna probably be uploaded in the next couple of days. Today is Friday, the 12th, I believe, of June 2020. It just so happens that our loverly government has decided that it needs to go and send us vaccines which we don't want, laced with an RFID chip, which we the people have outright protested on several occasions in an attempt to force those particulars on all Americans, meaning that even if you choose not to take this particular vaccine, if you don't, you will be met with specific consequences which force you out of the United States, specifically, such as you will not be able to buy food, you will not be allowed to pay rent, you will not be allowed to have access to your bank accounts, you will not be allowed, notice how I'm kind of getting distasteful with this shit, you will not be allowed to own or operate a firearm. You will not be allowed your constitutional rights to a fair trial, the right to being treated as a human being in a humane manner, the right to freedom of speech, the right to freedom of religion, the right to keep and bear arms, the right to be secure in your papers, person, property, and effects. Meaning that every instance about this particular vaccine is fine-tuned to make you do what the government wants you to do, regardless of what your wishes are. If you are like me and are very versed in such things as Native American medicine and Western medicine and veterinary medicine, then you know that this is a load of hogwash, that this particular vaccine ain't necessary. And let's be very clear. It has been very seldom when a vaccine has been absolutely necessary. Polio, it was a necessary evil. And I will state that. After polio, there hasn't been very many viruses that needed a vaccine. Rabies, guess what? That's the measles vaccine, folks. Funny shit about the rabies virus. Native Americans have been dealing with that particular virus for over 2,000 years with the medicine which I showed you right here on this channel. And if you're wondering, no, I'm not sick anymore. I'm perfectly healthy now. Does that mean that I don't have antibodies and the virus possibly in my system? No, it does not. In fact, what it means is that the medication is effective at treating the symptoms and at delivering a solo knockout punch to the virus. But it is not effective in entirely eliminating that virus. That's the other part of the Native American medicine, that the spirit must heal itself. That's why there's all the singing and the chanting and the nocebo effect of belief. Okay? That's the other part of Native American medicine. Yes, these plants do have these chemicals in them, and they are very useful and very effective. But in the low concentrated doses which Native Americans designed, they are not 100% effective for a reason. And that is that you don't want to overpower the immune system. The immune system is what fights the virus. The plants that give the special chemicals and those special chemicals themselves only enhance the immune system. And that is why Native American medicine is so potent, because it takes aspects of both fields of medicine. The Chinese field of medicine, which is herbal remedies and plants for medicine, and acupressure and acupuncture, and Western medicine, which is let the body do what's necessary to fight off foreign infection. Give it a little bit of something, maybe, but not much. Because that's based, Western medicine is also based off of Native American medicine in that field, in that regard. A lot of folks don't understand that the first vaccine was made by a Western medicine doctor who had been dealing with Native Americans and African Americans, not dealing with the average white folk of the day. Okay, and when I say average white folk of the day, understand, back in those days there was a large amount of segregation. Today there is not. As a matter of fact, there has been no segregation since the 1960s. My mother's Italian and other European countries, but predominantly Italian. My father was Native American, Polish, German, and possibly Russian, but we can't be sure of it. Possibly, because of the proximity to Russia with Poland and all that, okay? We can't be sure because there are no genealogy charts on my father's side. It's all oral tradition. Because my father's side of the family is predominantly Native American. Predominantly so being Cherokee, also known as Cahokia. Now, yeah, I've rambled a little bit, but I wanted to get through the justifiers to get to the point, the meat of the mix here. And that is that according to the Constitution of the United States of America, specifically the Bill of Rights, which was ratified by our Continental Congress before we had a nation, it is the right of the people to be secure in their papers, property, person, and effects. Meaning that no man has a right to foist upon you hardship for not following his decree. And should that man foist upon you hardship, it is unlawful and it is a criminal act. That criminal act is called oppressive tyranny. In the United States, that is not just a criminal act, it is a capital offense of the highest order. Meaning that here in the United States, if you act in such a manner, you can be set in front of a firing squad to this day. Because it is the highest capital offense. It is considered constitutional treason. Understand, constitutional treason is the highest capital offense in the United States. It's above murder. It's above all capital offenses. That includes rape. That includes going out and unlawful injection, physically causing somebody else to be injected against their will with some sort of a lesser known drug. This right here is an action against the people specifically on a countrywide scale. And it is an action being perpetrated by our government, which is the definition of violation of a constitutional right. The right to be secure in your papers, person, property, and effects. In other words, by stating that somebody who refuses said vaccine may not, by mandate of law, receive food for which they pay at expense to them, at cost to them, medicines which they knowledgeably understand to be potent and capable, health care by a certified healthcare practitioner, security of one's own person, property, papers, and effects through the use of firearms, or for that matter, any projectile weapon, including, but not limited to, air guns, bows and arrows, grenade launchers, tennis ball cannons. The list can go on. The use of this particular form of legislature is not only unlawful and unconstitutional, but is an affront to a free and honest people, where a society may so seek to destroy that people's ability to be in liberty and effectively free to choose their own path and utilize the best of their knowledge to their own effect and personal political whim. Being that the individual has the right in the United States to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm basically outlining to you is, for lack of better reference, revelations of the Bible. The mark of the beast, which in turn allows for the followers of the beast to remain supplant, while those who have not taken the mark of the beast are to be persecuted. Come on, people. It's not rocket science. You look at those lines in the Revelations, the book of Revelations in the Bible, and a lot of folks will say, "Oh, well, that's just a fantasy book." Right. But at the same fucking time, it ain't lying. So the question remains, how much fact can be found in fiction? And if that fact that is found in fiction is abhorrent to a free and honest people, then it is the duty of those people to ouster that fact to become common knowledge. As such, I'd like you to run over to High Impact Flicks or High Impact Vlogs, whichever channel happens to be up. It's Brian, very good guy. He's always been 100% truthful, even when he himself does not understand that the truth he is speaking. Mind you, it's very easy to get caught up in something such as, oh, well, we all got to do this because. But even though, because we don't have to all do this. And there's a reason for it. That reason is that you are an individual. Every single person who watches this video, every single person who doesn't watch this video, but who happens to be in the United States of America, is, for all intents and purposes, an individual, the sustainment of the people. Meaning that because the individual is what makes up the whole cannot function without the individual. And therefore, individual rights must trump, pardon the pun, Mr. President, must trump every mandate made by any organization anywhere in the United States and in any territories therefore held on any international military bases, and for any American traveling abroad. That is the law. And no, I'm not talking about state law or county ordinance or state suggestory declaration. I am talking about the Constitution of the United States of America, the highest law of the land. Meaning that that law cannot be broken by a law that is made after the fact. And since that law was made at the beginning of our nation, no law which comes afterwards that may constrict, confine, or outright destroy that particular outlined right, responsibility, or de facto law specific to the Constitution is a law itself, and it should be treated as if it is no law at all, because it is a direct violation of the United States Constitution, regardless of whether it is a state, county, or federal law. The individual rights and freedoms trump all. If you do not know what those are, then click off this video when you're done, when I am done, and look up us.constitution.org. There you will find the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers in all of their glory. If you cannot believe what you are seeing, then you may make a scheduled and appointed trip to the United States Library of Congress, whereupon you may view those original documents in their original form. Many things have been changed over the years, except for those original documents. Yes, the Constitution does not read as it did. There have been parts removed outright so that they're not even there anymore. But when you read the original document, when you read the original documents, my apologies, it's a plural, original documents, you will find that many of the things that I've spoken upon in certain comment sections throughout the videos on other platforms and on this platform, on this video, perhaps, there are particulars within the Constitution which have been removed, which are a violation direct of the United States Supreme Law. That being the right of the people to sustain themselves through what means may come to their arm. Meaning hunting, fishing, farming, and procurement of goods through the use of monies. You have a right to that. It is not a privilege. It is not something that is just, oh, well, I'm sorry you worked for so many years to try and make and build up a small empire of dirt in order to be able to pay for things like food, water, shelter, clothing, a means of self-defense, and, maybe a bug-out plan in case our country decides to be absolute shite-tards. Well, yeah, that particular's there. It's just not there, out there in the interwebs. It's on the original document, and I have seen it. The original document actually states that it is the right of the people to keep and bear arms in the interest not only for the action of hunting and procuring sustenance, but also in the instance that it should become necessary, a militia being necessary to the security of that free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms, to furnish those arms, and thereby regulate authority over the country for which they are particular to, being the United States of America. This right shall not be infringed. That's the large scale part of everything that was in the Bill of Rights. Now, as the amendment to the Constitution clearly states, and this is before Hillary got her fucking claws in it, a militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is before Hillary put the words, a well-regulated, at the very beginning of that, capitalized the word people, and totally destroyed the Constitution through legalese. Mind you, I am learned in legalese, and I understand that the word Constitution means the central kernel of the greater whole in legalese. In English definition, the Constitution means the highest law of any land, state, or city that must be adhered to by those people within the confines of that nation. And thereto, in some nations, must be adhered by the government proper. So I beg you this question. Why on God's green earth? Okay, not God's green earth, because if you're an atheist, you're a piece of shit anyways, but you have the right to express your freedom of religion. And yes, atheism is a religion because you believe. Okay? That's it. Because you believe. Doesn't matter what you believe in, it matters that you believe something. That's a religion. Okay? Constitutionalism is its own religion. So if you are a devout atheist, you don't believe in constitutionalism, and therefore you are not my countryman, and you are a piece of shit. And guess what? You're an enemy combatant in these United States, and I will happily walk across your bloody carcass to ensure safety, freedom, and security, along with the liberty to see to that again here in the United States of America. Now I'm coming to you from my back porch, considering that the situation has become far greater than we could ever have imagined. It is up to you, the American people, and me, a United States Minuteman, ready and willing, to stand against this tyranny, should it come in any form, up to and including the power of nuclear deterrent. Mind you, many Americans are physicists, and really, really good physicists. People who understand elemental and subparticle physics. People who understand the power of the atom. Okay? These are people who, in all reality, are the scariest motherfuckers that any government should ever have to go up against. Because if the government itself decided to move against its people with nuclear weapons, one, every other nation across the world would stand with those people. save for, a couple of nations that might stand with that government. But there too, those people would have the ability to return fire. And when I say return fire, understand that Washington, D.C., in fact, a lot of capital cities, are not hardened against nuclear strike. There is only one installation in the whole of the United States which could take a direct nuclear blast of anything above what was thrown at Hiroshima. And let's be clear, that's only to a certain amount, before Castle Bravo type test, type test nuke. Well, guess what? We the people are the ones with the access to the nukes, not the fucking president or the government or any of those idiots. They do utilize them. But we the people, we the civilian population of the United States, are the ones who control the use of those nukes, not the president. Let's be very clear. It is not the president who controls the nuke. Matter of fact, he can't actually make that decision to turn around and tell his generals to fire a nuke until he has requested it of the American people. Which means that the United States as a nation must back him in a manner of warfare to allow said nuclear deterrent to be utilized. We have already been subject to such things as germ warfare and chemical warfare. And if you deny that possibility, well, I'm going to put this to you. In the state of California, it is lawful to utilize NaCO3, which is ammonia, as particularly, you're going to love this shit. If any of you guys out there knows chemistry, y'all going to love this shit. They use ammonia as a fertilizer, which mixes directly into a water source. That ammonia can then be mixed with potassium chlorate, sodium chlorate, potassium nitrate, and sodium halide, which are all utilized in fertilizers, along with monopotassium chlorate, monopotassium nitrate, monopotassium hydrate, monosodium triglutamate, which is a different type of glutamate which plants will eat, and let me see here, multilinear nitrate hydrocarbon chains, nitrated hydrocarbon chains, such as cornstarch, gasoline. Yes, these things go onto our food crops. And when they mix, something that you don't know is that when chlorine and ammonia mix, you get something called phosgene. Or no, wait, that's phosphorus, ammonia, and chlorine. When you don't mix the phosphorus in, you get something called sarin. Go ahead and tell me that we have not been subject to chemical warfare on American soil, and I will call you a liar to your face. Because trust in me now and believe me later, those tunnies are sitting out there on the farm fields right now. I could walk out there and take pictures. Literally walk. You wonder why I cough like this. It's because I have been subject to more chemical gases, chemical atmospheric gases in a nature of acidity to the human body than most Americans have, excluding those who have been to Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. Okay? Oh, and our veterans of World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam War. Gentlemen, I apologize if I have caused you affront. For the rest of you little pansy asses that don't understand what the fuck is going on, I beg you, wake the fuck up. Start learning everything you can. Because pretty soon, your life's going to depend on it. Hoorah!